Hey, what's up everybody? In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can get your first base set up in Airtable in just a few minutes. So if that's something you've been struggling with, stay tuned. Alright, let's get started. So you can see right here on my screen, I have the main Airtable dashboard set up. And usually when you create a new account, they'll actually give you an option to fill out a short questionnaire. And from there, they'll pre-populate a workspace with a few different bases that they might think you'll find useful. But for now, I've just cleared everything out and we'll start from scratch. So a workspace is, in the simplest terms, just a collection of projects. Think of the workspace as the main hub for your business. And within it, you have different sub-hubs separated by department, project, event, even for marketing. And you can give permissions to your team based on the top level workspace or by the base. So for high level team members or even technical support guys, they would get workspace access and others might get project specific access. So let's create a workspace. Just click that plus right there. And we'll just call this one, we'll call this one writing business. So with this particular example, we're going to create a workspace for a publication business that publishes or writes articles for several different clients and companies. So within my workspace for this particular business, I might have a series of bases. So a base is short for database, which would contain all of the data relevant to a particular project. So in the most general sense, you might choose your bases based on different departments of your business, such as HR related information in one base, marketing projects in another, product inventory in another, and so on. But in this particular example, we already have that workspace set up, so we're going to create a few different bases specifically for this type of business. And with this type of business, we might need perhaps a base for marketing, a base for projects, and maybe even a base to manage all of our freelancers and team. So we can click this plus right here to add a base. And Airtable actually gives you additional options right here to create the base with a template. Airtable has a bunch of pre-made templates already, but you can also go up here in the upper menu and they have an option called Universe, which are all user created templates. So that's kind of a cool additional feature to give you some ideas or just give you something to work with. Or else you can import a spreadsheet. So if you're coming over from Trello or Asana, you can take that data in a CSV file and directly create a base from that. But for now, we're going to start from scratch. And we might have marketing. You can choose from a few emojis and different colors. And actually, they give you this option right here for Slack notifications as well, which is kind of a cool feature. It's built right in. So every time you update a base within Airtable, you can automatically update a Slack channel as well. So that makes it a little simpler than setting up a Zapier integration in that particular example. And we might create another base for projects. This one blue, and it's a writing business, so maybe I'll do a pencil. And just one more, maybe team. Make that one pink, and there we go. So we have a few different bases set up, and I'm not going to set them all up within this video, but just to give you an example of how a basic layout might look. And you can customize the view right up here. View it with some smaller icons, or else in this grid form. And you can manage all of your workspaces on the left-hand bar right here. So for now, we're just going to set up the project space. So we'll click that, open it up, and you'll see right now we're in the base dashboard. So if you'll notice, it kind of looks like a spreadsheet, and that's mostly how we'll use it. But you'll see up here at the top, we have these different tabs, which are very similar to tabs in an Excel spreadsheet, but in Airtable, these are called tables. And a quick side note, one of the most useful features of Airtable is that you can directly link records, which are basically rows in Excel, in one table to records in another table. So each table can talk to the other one, but we'll have to get into that in a later video. So within this space, for our article writing business, we might need a series of tables that relate to our writing projects. So we might have a table to manage writing projects, another to keep track of the companies that we do these projects for, and another might be for contacts that we have at each company. So for example, if you have a contact for 6 months at one particular company, and that contact moves on, maybe he gets hired or fired and replaced with another one, you can just plug that information right into that table. So we'll just set up these tables. You can click this drop down up here, rename the table, and you can also add table descriptions as well, with a short little blurb right there, and it'll give you this little icon button. So if you have a whole bunch of different team members working on the same table, or even for new employee onboarding, that can make things a little bit easier. And we'll have this one for companies and contacts. So that's generally how you would set up the tables within each base, managing all the various data that would relate to a project on different tables, depending on how you categorize that specific data. So within this particular table view, this is the table that we'll be customizing in this video. So you'll see these rows and columns, which look just like Excel spreadsheets, but in Airtable, the rows are called records and the columns are called fields. So I'll be using that terminology from now on. And one important thing to note is that within Airtable, the first field that you'll see right here on the left, kind of separated by this distinct dark line, this field is called the primary field, and it can never be hidden or deleted. So you'll always have to have this one populated with some kind of data. And usually, well, pretty much always, you would want it to have a completely unique ID. So we'll use a formula to create that unique ID within this projects table, but we'll get into that shortly here. Beyond that, we would need to store a variety of different data, all related to each of the team's writing projects using a variety of different field types. So for starters, we might need to store a project name. So we'll click this drop down in the second field. Remember, we're getting back to this primary field a little later. And we have a drop down right here where we can customize the field type. And another drop down, and you'll see all these different options right here, which makes it kind of easy for the vast majority of the types of fields that you would like. And then if you want to get a little more advanced, there's always formula field types similar to Excel. But for this particular field, we're going to use a single line text, and we'll call this project name. Or we could do article name, but we'll just keep it kind of generic. So the next field that we might need might be the client name, or let's call it the contact name, since we already have this table up here. And we'll just use another single line text. Generally though, because we have that other table, we could use the link to another record, but for simplicity's sake, we'll stick to the single line text for now, and we'll get into the linked records a little later. And we might want a article photo. So if we're doing blog posts or something, there might be some type of photo attached, a stock photo for every article. And the cool thing is you can store all of these attachments, these images, directly within Airtable. So I've actually ran a business, a print-on-demand business, where I stored all of the images that would be put on t-shirts and mugs. I stored them all within that Airtable rather than going externally to Dropbox or Google Drive. So that's another cool and useful feature for us. And let's see what next. We might need to assign it to a writer. So we'll create a writer field, and we might have one of many different options, but to kind of reduce the opportunity for error, if we would be manually writing that in for each project, we're going to have a single select field type where we've already stored the writers ahead of time, and we could just store from a drop-down list. And there's another option similar to that called multiple select, but in this particular example, we would only ever have one writer writing each article. So we'll use that field type, and we can add an option here. Let's say writer 1, writer 2, and writer 3. From here, we can choose a few different colors if we want. One of the features of the paid Pro upgrade is that you can add quite a few additional colors, but it's not totally necessary, especially for kind of a simple table. And next, we might have a due date for each article. So one of the cool fields is the date field type. And you can choose the format, do US, and you can add a time field if you would like, but I don't think we'll need that one. And this will give you a calendar pop-up right here. And with this writer field, you'll get the drop down right here. So I'm going to fill in the information for a couple different projects, and then I'll get right back to you. So you'll see that I added in information for a couple different projects here. I'll get rid of this last record. I added a project name, the contact, and I actually uploaded a photo right here, which are just some random stock photos. And I used this drop down to choose one of my 3 writers, added a couple due dates, and we'll add a couple more features here, a couple more fields to see what other kind of field types we can incorporate into this particular base. So now that I have all those general details about the project, I might want to know some financial details. So if we're writing articles for different businesses and we're charging them by the word, we might want to be able to plug in how many words that they require and our rate per word, and then just get a total that we can charge them for with an invoice down the line. So the way we would do that is first with a field for the word count. So we would create a field here, and we'll use a number. And usually you wouldn't require decimal. And we'll fill in some values here. So this might be a shorter article. and a longer one here. And next we'll need a field for the rate per word that we charge for each project, because it might be different for everyone. And we will actually, let's see, let's actually do a currency field. And we'll have 2 decimals because usually the rates per word are within the pennies. So I might charge 0.04 for this first project and 0.02 for the second project. And next we want to use a formula where we can multiply the word count by the rate per word, since it's going to be a little different for every project, and we don't want to manually calculate these. So I'll create a new field called total due, and I'm going to select the formula. And a real basic formula that we can use here is we can select the first field down here in this drop down or in this scrollable window and use the universal multiply symbol and then add in rate per word and save it. So there we go. This formula has multiplied both of these 2 fields and given us our new total. Now, it doesn't have the currency symbol right there, so we can actually format the field into a currency where a $sign will show up, and we'll get a currency result now. So lastly, well, I got a couple more fields, but lastly, I want to show you a cool feature. So we're going to add this last field in here, and we'll use the single select as well. And this is going to be for a status, the status of each project. It might be pending, in progress, or complete. Pending will make it red, progress yellow, and complete will make it green. So if you're used to Trello or something, we can actually use this status field to create a Trello Kanban type of view based off of the same exact data. So that's kind of cool. So I'll put this one in progress and this one complete. Now lastly, we need to create that unique primary field ID. So we'll customize the field type up here, and we'll use a formula again, because it's possible that we could have different projects with the same name, but for different contexts. For example, if it's an article that's a review for an iPad or a review for some other random project, it's possible that if we're writing in one particular niche or industry, we're writing very similar projects for multiple contexts. So we need to know all those details within a unique ID right off the bat. And the way we can do that is through a concatenate formula, where we'll kind of sandwich 2 or 3 values together within this primary field to create that unique ID. So we'll do these squiggly brackets first to create this field pop up here. And we're going to sandwich the project name and the contact all within this primary field. But we'll need to create a space between them, and we can do that with either the and or the comma there. So we'll have the project name, space, dash, space, and then the contact name, and that'll create our unique primary field ID. Oh, there we go, extra squiggle. So now you'll see that every project has that unique ID right there in the primary field. So one more feature that I want to show you is the custom views up here. So if you click this arrow right here, you can add a view, whether it's grid, which is kind of the basic spreadsheet view, a form that you can use for surveys or questionnaires, calendars, where you can basically see a calendar view of the data if you have date fields, and a gallery, which kind of looks like an image gallery, or the Kanban view, which is the Trello view. So we'll create just that custom view for now, and we'll use the status that we created earlier, and you'll see that all of our data is organized by the status that we chose. And if we move each card within the Kanban view, it'll automatically update in the spreadsheet view. So it's all pretty intuitive, and there's pretty much every type of view is built into the software. So it's limitless the amount of ways that you can use it. So I hope that helped you get up and running with Airtable. And if you have any additional questions, you can go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Take it easy.